Hey there, my name is Ariel and this is the Grace Roots garden tour for the week. I have been gone for the last 3 days, and so I'm kind of coming back and seeing this for the first time. It's crazy how quick things grow when you're not out here checking them every day. So I'm going to take you along and show you what I've got going on in the garden, and hopefully you can pick up some tips and tricks to take back to your garden to help you. So let's see what we've got going. So these are my peppers. They're just kind of getting going. Got a little banana pepper ready. I use these bamboo stakes to stake those. They work pretty good. Here is a broccoli plant that I'm letting go to seed. So just a couple days ago, this was literally covered in these little yellow and white flowers. And now already all the flowers are dropping off, and it leaves behind these little seed pods. Those will start to fill out, and then I will be able to save hundreds of seeds from this broccoli. So I'm letting this one go to seed. My plants did get found by cabbage worms. I have been covering my other brassicas all spring and all summer so far. But this one I didn't cover because I let it go to seed, which is really fine. I'm not trying to eat from this. I just want it to live long enough to let the seeds mature. So I'm not super concerned. I may go ahead and cut some of this off just so it doesn't introduce sickness. But what does damage like this, you'll see all these little holes on there, are these little caterpillars. See that guy right there? That is, try to focus on him for you. That's a cabbage worm. They get to your plants because a moth lays her eggs on top of a brassica, on a leafy plant, on a cabbage, on a broccoli, and when the eggs hatch, they turn into these caterpillars. That's what does this. And really, like, by this point, I'd already harvested the broccoli. I'm just letting this one go to seed. They are probably going to get the couple of cabbages that I have in this bed accidentally, but they really probably won't mess too bad with my peppers. So there is that bed. These that are left here, I cut the main head of these last two broccoli plants, but then they put up side shoots that are like smaller little broccoli. And like this, I could pick this. Like literally, I'm just gonna pick it. And it's like little bonus broccoli. If you can leave the plants in the bed a little bit longer, then you can get some side shoots there. Right next door, we have got green beans. All these little flowers are gonna become beans. And yep, here we go. We got little baby beans. So all these little flowers will turn into beans. And as soon as these are big enough to pick, I'm gonna start picking them. Once you start picking beans, they just will produce more and more. So the more often you pick, the more you'll have to pick. So those are all different green beans. I do some purple beans as well. They turn green when you cook them, but they're good. Beans are great for your garden as far as succession sowing because they will fix nitrogen back into the soil. But yep, so there are little baby green beans. And then over here I've got cucumbers, and all those yellow flowers mean cucumbers very soon. You can hand pollinate your cucumbers to help get better fruiting. That is what a baby cucumber looks like right there. So that is technically a female flower. And then if I find one that doesn't, that's another example of a female flower. If I find one that doesn't have a fruit behind it, like this guy is probably a male flower, I can go in and help hand pollinate these so I get better fruit set. I'm growing these up on this trellis here, and that helps it take up less space. Every square foot I can grow up is less bed space I have to have. So I do grow these up on a trellis, and they climb like very easily. They love to climb, happy climbers. So cucumbers. Over here I've got kale. Those same cabbage worms have found my kale, which it's okay. I've been picking and picking off this, and it just keeps on growing. There is one of those little guys, cabbage worm right there. So you can tell when you've got worms just because the damage is very distinctive. You will also sometimes find their droppings on leaves. There'll be little brown caterpillar droppings. And for every caterpillar you see and can hand pick off, there are many, many more. So I'm probably gonna be pretty done with kale here. That's a really little caterpillar. I'm probably gonna be done with kale just because we've got this infestation going on here. But I'll pick everything I can, and anything that's too damaged for me to eat or to use, I'll just feed to my chickens, and they will eat both the kale and they will eat all these little worms. They love them. Back over here is my spaghetti squash trellis. It is just working its way up, and see, I've got some squash bugs there that I need to deal with. But yeah, it's just working its way up that trellis. All of these down here, I planted zinnias on the end to help attract pollinators to my garden. I love zinnias, they're beautiful. This is, I believe, an Isabella zinnia. And then that's gonna open up to look like this one here. I love zinnias. They're just beautiful, bright, colorful flowers. And then hopefully they do their job and bring lots of pollinators over here. Here is my spaghetti squash. It is coming on up. Just like with cucumbers, these are cucumbers and squash are all in the squash family. That is a female flower on the end, but that's fruit set right there. So when I see these when they're little, the female fruits as they're little, I can go through and hand pollinate. I just need to locate male flowers versus female flowers, and I can go in and then hand pollinate to help make sure I get lots and lots of fruit. But this guy here is looking good. I mean, it has climbed all the way up this trellis, and it'll start to kind of sneak off on the bottoms there. Those all tie back into the trellis, just weave it in. My peas are almost at the end of their life. I'm gonna leave the ones on there that are too far gone. It's been really hot. Some of these I may still be able to pick and harvest a few more shelling peas, but we're probably almost done there. And like here, I mean, those are crispy. So I'm just gonna let the seed pods dry on there, and then potentially have some seeds saved. Then I don't have to buy as many seeds for peas next year. There's those ones. Yeah, like some of these may still fill out enough to where you'd want to pick them and eat them. In the middle there, that is a pumpkin. I'm so excited. I did some sugar baby pumpkins. And here is my cilantro. I'm pretty well done with cilantro too, which makes me sad, but I have picked from this. It'll start to put up these flowers, and again, these will turn into seeds. Everything in the garden will eventually like go back to a seed to try to reproduce. That's what your vegetables, like what they're trying to do in their brain, is like continue on their species and reproduce more of them. So when they put up these center stalks like this, the taste changes in cilantro. So I probably will not eat much more of this, but I'm gonna end up pulling this out before too long. This lettuce has seen better days. I'm really thinking this week I'm gonna pull everything out of this bed and just let something else go in here. I do have a volunteer tomato that is hard at work staying alive in here. Those stalks are spinach that, again, has flowered and went to seed. I'm probably going to save some of those as well if I can. But a little bit of lettuce still doing okay. It's just too hot here. I will definitely do more lettuce towards the end of the summer and into the fall. I could put together a cold frame here and be harvesting lettuce like essentially all winter long. It just needs a little bit of protection and you can keep harvesting for a long time into the winter in Missouri. So that's my plan this year, is to do some more winter gardening than I normally have using some cold frames. Not much to see on the strawberry bed. I'm gonna go through and prune this up and kind of clean it up just a little bit, clear out any dead underbrush, and then keep these plants healthy so they will give me runners, which are like bonus plants. The runners will fill the bed too, and then I let them drop off the edges as well, and they'll work their way to the ground, and then I could dig that up. Once it's got some roots on it, I can dig it up and fill another bed with strawberries. I can sell them, I can share them. So after I'm done picking fruit, strawberries still just keep on giving. They will put out lots and lots of runners for me. And that's kind of what I love about these raised beds, is I can definitely tell the runners that get dropped off the edges, I can tell those are year one strawberries. So then I know those are going to be most productive the next 2 years. Whereas once they're in the bed, it's hard to tell them apart. This is just diatomaceous earth. After it's gotten wet, it just kind of creates this film on there. It's not sick. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just little remnants of some DE there. All right, these are my cabbages. I have been covering them up to protect them from cabbage worms. I think that some have found their way in here because I do see a little bit of damage, and that is what their droppings look like. So I think that some have found their way in here still, which makes me sad. I really need to probably just pull everything very soon. But these row covers have helped. Like, I've had years where my cabbages looked horrible. Just, I barely harvested anything. I've had years where I didn't get to eat any of the cabbage I grew. That one looks good. I've been spraying with BT. I'm sure that's helping a lot. And oh god, that one's good. Okay, I'm less stressed. On the end here, we've got a little damage, but okay, we've got some good stuff in here. That is my zucchini plant in here. He's not happy with being covered up. I put the seed in to get it started and was trying to give these cabbages a little bit more time. They're probably going to get pulled within the next 2 weeks, and then that guy should be a lot happier after that. Over here are the cantaloupes. Got lots and lots of flowers. Like, so many came on just in the last couple days. It's been hot here, and plant metabolism really depends on temperature. So I'm just gonna go through and try to keep these vines neat as they work their way up. It just helps the plants to have good airflow if I'm trying to get them to stick to a line almost on the trellis. Just spread them out a little bit, and they're not right on top of each other. Oh gosh, yeah, we have just put on so many flowers. And about every other flower means a fruit. But I just wrap them up, and then they grow on the trellis. As the fruit sets with melons, with little melons like a cantaloupe, I typically don't have to support the fruit unless it gets big. But I have done watermelons on trellises like this before, and those are gonna need a little bit of support. I just tie up old t-shirts and make hammocks. That works really well for watermelons when you're growing them vertically. But again, just like the spaghetti squash over there, if I grow this up, it is way less ground space I have to dedicate to one type of plant. I can get kind of a lot more bang for my buck with my raised beds. Tomato lane, looking good. These onions down the middle are coming along. They are bulbing up quite nicely. I'm thinking probably another month. I want to keep those in the ground if I can and let them just get bigger bulbs. But tons of tomatoes coming on. We'll show you the individual varieties. All right, so this is a rescue attempt on this plant. If you check my TikTok, I did a video when I decided to save this one. I topped a tomato and I was trying to rescue a plant and put that in its place. And this looks so much healthier than it did before. It really rebounded once I got it in the ground. So this is just a plain Roma tomato here. Moving over, these are the early Cascade. Look at that, we have got tomatoes. We got more fruit. Like, oh, this is such an exciting time of year. So lots of fruit set on this one. Being an early Cascade, I think this is probably going to put on a lot of fruit early on in the season, and I don't know how well it's going to continue, but we will find out. Here is Aroma. We've got lots of flowers on this guy here, and then a Mortgage Lifter. I love these also. Like, check those out. Big fruit already. These put on a big fat kind of like beefsteak tomato. All those are the Mortgage Lifter. We've got more fruit coming in here. I have got a little bumblebee checking out this onion. This is onion seed that's flowering right now, but that bumblebee's having a good time with that. Check him out. I'm trying to give him his space. I don't want to get mad. Okay. This is the watermelon beefsteak. Got flowers on there. Not seeing fruit on that yet, but there are lots of flowers, so I think it's coming soon. This is the Amish paste, and I love these big fat paste tomatoes. Great for sauce making. And these plants just are healthy and they're very sturdy. I like these. I prefer these to San Marzanos. They're both in the paste variety, but these ones I just like so much better. Here is some opal basil and some regular basil. It's getting started. And then these are the starts to some marigolds. Let's see. Over here is Vintage Wine. Yep, that right there is a perfect example of blossom end rot. Try as you will, you can do everything right and still you'll get some of that. I find often that the first few tomatoes a plant sets, no matter what I do, will have some blossom end rot. And so when you see that, just pick them. There's no saving those tomatoes. They will never be right again. When I see that, I just go ahead and pull them. So I was excited about Vintage Wine. I have lots more flowers on it, but when you see blossom end rot, just pull those tomatoes because there's no saving them. They're not going to be good after that. You'll just see that dark spot at the end. It means that tomato's bad. Moving on down is the Consueloto Genovese. It puts out these bumpy little tomatoes. I'm really excited for these for like BLTs and tomato sandwiches. They're gonna be very good. All right, these are radishes going to seed, and I'm just trying to keep these radishes in the ground and alive long enough for these seed pods to mature. So they started off as flowers and then they fill out these big fat seed pods. So I'm trying to just keep them going that long. Look at all those. I'm not buying radish seeds for a long time, in case you were wondering. As predicted, what struggled the most with me being gone are my tomatoes in buckets. These are just hard to keep watered. They don't hold a lot of moisture because they've got holes in the bottom, so they're looking a little sad. I'm gonna water them and they'll perk back up. But these are those black strawberries. They were on Baker Creek's catalog this year. So pretty. Over here, these are black cherry. They are just a good all-purpose cherry tomato. This is another black strawberry, and got a bunch up there. And then these are blueberries tomatoes. I've only literally got one on there right now, but I'm gonna water and fertilize those and they'll be good. These are potatoes. They are starting to show signs that they're ready to be done. Here's my corn. I promised really going to come thin this out this week, and then I'm gonna fill that raised bed this week as well. Garlic over here, soft neck garlic, and then this is that's a piece of grass. Down here is hardneck garlic, and that I think we are just about ready to pick. And then I've also got some green beans filling in there. These blueberries are almost done. So close to being ready to pick those, and I can't wait. I really have not had great success growing blueberries. They're tricky, so I'm really excited that I finally have got some this year. I think the key is containers and soil acidifier. There's a little baby grasshopper. All right, that's my tour for this week. Thank you so much for tagging along. I hope that you learned something. Leave me a comment if you've got any questions, and make sure to like and subscribe for more. Happy gardening, folks.